A couple of months ago, my wife Nikki and I made a goal of publishing a commercial game to Steam in 90 days. We signed up for Steam Next Fest, which is happening in just a couple of weeks, and we have failed. We failed. Pretty badly, actually. So what happened? What went wrong? And what's gonna happen next? Well, I quit. I'm done. See ya. I'll bet not even a single one of you believed me. Not even for a second. If you watch this channel for long enough, you will build up quite the cringe resistance, so stick around. Okay, so honestly, yes, we failed, but we have learned a couple of things from these failures, and I just want to share what we've learned with you guys. Now, as for what's happening with Samurado, the project has been delayed and we are just pushing it back a couple of months. A really good chunk of the core gameplay loop is playable now, but there's all sorts of content that needs to be added, as well as bug fixes and polish and the whole works. The Steam page is going to be getting an update really soon, so be sure to go on there and wishlist while the Steam page is still ugly. Seriously, take a screenshot of your wishlist while the page still looks like this. You will be one of the cool kids. So we pulled out of Steam Next Fest, which actually, in case you didn't know, you can only participate in one Steam Next Fest per game. And for us, releasing an unpolished turd to Steam Next Fest would have been more harmful than helpful at this point. We set out to make a game in 90 days, and we told you guys that we were going to share our journey with you, and failure to meet our deadline and failure to meet our goals is part of that journey. So the reason we failed and what actually happened is, I think, just ultimately inexperience in project management. That's it, honestly. And I can't even say that we failed because Nikki has given me every single edited video and every single piece of art on time every single time. So really, this is my failure. It's really just my inexperience in managing a project that caused us to fail and not meet our deadline. I'm not an expert. I'm just learning things as fast as I can. And if you've been watching us for a while, you've heard me say 100 times on this channel that doing things in game development just takes longer than you think it's going to, always. I remember a Code Monkey video where he said you should give yourself 50% more time than you think you're going to need on a project. It has been more than that for me, more than 50%. But at least I know that I'm not alone in the fact that I think I can work faster than I actually can. The other thing that went wrong was the way that this project was planned. And I don't necessarily regret the way that we planned this game. We had the high-level stuff figured out, and we left the really nitty-gritty details to be figured out as we were creating it. This is just another contributing factor. And, you know, if you're a developer and you're also trying to grow a YouTube channel, that's just something that takes time away from your game as well. Having a Patreon community, that takes time away from the game. These are both things that I'm super grateful for. I love my YouTube community and I love my Patreon community. So this isn't even a complaint, it's just a fact. These things take a little bit of time away from the game development side of things. And by the way, really quick, I just want to take a quick second to thank you for watching this video. Our channel just passed 5,000 subscribers, and I'm so weird. I can't believe that there are 5,000 people out there that would subscribe to this channel. So honestly, thank you so much for choosing to watch this video. Don't click off. This isn't the end. I just wanted to share my appreciation. You're busy. There are literally a million things you could be doing with your time, and yet you are here watching this video, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So we failed our 90-day challenge, but we're not even skipping a beat. We're just going to continue on, and we're going to keep working on the game until it is in a state that we are proud of. It's pretty rough right now. And we are still wanting to get back to Veil of Maia sooner rather than later, so we are plowing ahead as fast as we can. I don't currently have a date when I think Samurado is going to be released because I don't seem to be very good at picking release dates, but stay tuned because we will share news with you as we have things figured out. I have heard from so many different game developers and entrepreneurs and artists and people that I admire and respect. They all say the same thing about failure. You learn the most from your failure. You learn more from failure than you do from your successes. So I want to pass on what we have learned from our failures onto you guys so that hopefully you can benefit from our failures. So I would say that the first thing that I have learned is to expect failure. And I mean that in the broadest sense possible, from the micro to the macro. I fail every day while I'm down here in this office. Every single day. I fail dozens and dozens of times. I have been writing code for over 6 years now, probably more like 7, and I still make the dumbest little mistakes when I'm programming. I was stuck for like 2 hours yesterday on, I don't even remember what it was. It was the dumbest little thing, and I was just kind of like that afterwards. It happens all the time. And this is just the small stuff, right? You make a particle system that you really don't like, or you have an idea and then you implement it and then you hate it instantly. This stuff happens all the time. But also in terms of my daily goals, I also expect failure a lot of the time. Between Patreon and creating these YouTube videos and answering emails and Discord messages and actually a new branch of Sasquatch B Studios that I'm not even ready to announce just yet, as well as someone hired me to code some improvements into their game, but also send them private video lessons teaching them what it is that I'm doing so that they can learn faster. And that's not something I ever expected myself doing, but it's something I'm really enjoying right now. But with all of these tasks, I cannot keep track of my daily tasks in my head mentally. I cannot do it. It's just too much. So every single morning, I write down my to-do items for that day on a piece of paper. And what I write down on that piece of paper, I very rarely actually complete every single item on that list. It's a daily failure that I often experience. And I don't even necessarily mean that in a bad way. Failure does not have to be a bad thing. My to-do lists are massive and probably unreasonable for one person to handle. But because I really make an effort to actually get everything done on that list, I end up taking really massive leaps forward every single day anyways. So even though they're failures, I don't really consider them failures, if that makes sense. So expect failure, embrace failure. It doesn't have to be this awful thing. It's just something else that you learned that day. The second thing I've learned from my failure with Samurado is that massive unreasonable crunch time just doesn't work. Like at all. Now, I just finished telling you about my massive to-do list, right? That I often never end up finishing in a day. And I try not to let that get to me, but some days it does get to me. Some days I can't handle the fact that I failed. And that is when I will end up doing something stupid like working till 11 o'clock at night and, you know, I'm asleep by midnight, and then I will set an alarm for 3:30 in the morning and wake up so that I can get more work done. I did that just the other day, thinking that it would help me catch up with this growing list of to-dos that are not getting done. I'm 35. I'm seriously like an old man. I cannot handle getting that little sleep and trying to get that much work done. I can't do it. My mood just tanks and my mindset goes out the window, and everything feels honestly like hopeless and pointless when I'm on that little sleep. I can be a bit of a baby when I don't get my sleep, and I think slower, and I'm just miserable for the rest of the day. It is not worth it. Pushing yourself past your limits is going to deplete your energy. As game developers, we need to protect our mental energy because we will have no creative juice without it. If you take good care of yourself, you're going to be at the top of your game. Now, the third thing that I've learned is actually to be a little bit flexible and go with the flow. And I know that some of you out there probably thought I was going to talk about watch out for scope creep. No, honestly, like scope creep has not actually happened with this game. At least not in the sense of adding more and more and more features just because they seem cool. Every single feature that has been added into Samurado has a purpose, and it all helps to strengthen the core gameplay loop. I just truly did not realize how in-depth some of the features I wanted to add would be. Like the upgrade system in Samurado, for example. That is something that I thought on paper was kind of going to be this really easy thing. You improve a couple of stats, you unlock a couple of abilities, but there were dozens and dozens of pieces that needed to be put together to make sure that this all flowed really well. And I didn't think of that when I was planning this system out on paper. I wouldn't call that scope creep. I would just say that I didn't plan as well as I could have. So when I say to be flexible and go with the flow, like we could have cut features, we could have shortened this game, we could have made it in 90 days. I'm sure that we could have, but it wouldn't have been as good. And our goal of making a game in 90 days was just a goal. That's it. We didn't make our goal. So what? We have an awesome game that's really starting to shape up into being something very special. And being unnecessarily rigid about the schedule just to meet a deadline or a goal. Well, look how pissed off people get when AAA companies do that with their games. Gamers want a smooth and polished experience, and they're willing to wait for it. So when things don't go according to plan, just go with the flow a little bit. Adjust your plan and move forward and just do your best, because that's all any of us can do. That's all I got. Bye, guys. I want to give a very special thank you to all of our Hall of Fame patrons, Jakob Yondok, Zonder Kessler, Darren Perrine, Throbbing Wind, Fontaine Waite, Couch, and Christopher Nichols, as well as our early access patrons, Zyoma, Kenwait, Mason Crow, Mr. D, and Outdo Games. If you choose to support us on Patreon, you can get early access to all of our YouTube videos, monthly alpha builds, and more.